What up guys, it's Adrian from YouMotorcycle, and finally what you've been waiting for, it's time to finally get this Honda CL350 rolling. I got everything in the right position to start it this time, and first kick, nice. Now one thing I really liked about this bike was that it was definitely something that I could really kick the first kick. Second kick at worst, as long as it was not below freezing. Once it was below freezing, it got a lot harder actually to get it to kick over. But above freezing, this thing was super easy to get started. If you see me doing any weird shifting, it's probably because the shift linkage is gone. I mentioned this in the previous video, and so instead of being 1 down, 4 up, it's 4 down, 1 up, so a little bit different. So you might notice some hesitations there. That's not the bike, that's me just mentally adjusting, taking a look at where my controls are. I also mentioned in the previous video that the controls are not really in a very comfortable position on this bike. In addition to having some cafe racer-ish ergonomics, the foot controls were different distances from one side of the bike to the other, so it was a little bit odd. You guys might also notice by now the tack is working great, the signals are working great, headlight was working, the controls are all original, they're all working, but the speedo is not working, and I didn't quite look into that. I don't know if it's just a matter of a speedo cable being loose or not. It's not really something I noticed until I got back, and by that point I had put the camera away anyway. Now I'm keeping the revs a little bit low, just around 3,000 RPMs, because I am going through a cemetery. It's sort of behind my house, which makes it really convenient because there's uphills, downhills, slopes to the left, slopes to the right. So it's a nice place to just see how a bike handles, as opposed to if I'm just taking it around the city where it's just straight lines and very boring. And in this case, yeah, the Honda CL350 Cafe Racer, despite the changes to ergonomics, maybe even thanks to the changes in ergonomics, this thing handles great. It's a super lightweight bike from factory. Obviously, if you guys have seen the last 3-4 videos on this thing, you know it's been stripped down significantly since 1973. So at this point, yeah, it's a 48-year-old motorcycle, but it's riding like new for something that's been sitting for 3 or 4 years. Really can't tell. Later on, I'll give it a good rip going up a hill, and you'll see there's no real hesitation. I was really impressed with it, really happy with it. Normally, I hate parallel twins, but these ones actually sound really, really good to me, whether I was having them in a nice little low idle kind of rumble, or while I was revving them up. I actually was like, this bike sounds great, especially because the exhaust pipes on the bike, it was like a homemade job. This was not a, $500,000, $1,000 exhaust kit. This was something that the previous owner had rigged up and welded himself. So performed great, no hesitations, and it was a very excellent handling bike. Don't know if you guys are familiar with my series on the Honda CL350, but I did a 4-part series. I guess this is going to be part 5. The first part was on just an introduction to the bike and what I would be doing with it. The second part was, yeah, it sounds good when you rev it up. The second part was bleeding the brakes, because this bike, instead of having a drum brake on the front, it actually had a disc brake on the front. So I wanted to bleed all of that old brake fluid out, so I'll show you guys how I did that. I think it had this similar setup to what the CB350 would have, not the CL350. As you guys can see, turn signals, even the signal indicator is working great on this bike. I was really happy with it once I got it out and running. Part 3 of the series, of course, was draining the old gas both out of the tank as well as out of the carburetors. It took a bit of a process to try and get stuff out. I tried to pump it, but it looked like the gas tank was already pretty low. Anyway, got it all sorted out, drained out the carbs, put fresh gas in there, and sure enough, within minutes of fresh gas being in there, it kicked over right away. So sometimes fresh gas is really all you need. And then lastly, I still couldn't really consistently get the bike to start, and I realized that there was a whole bunch of things that I was kind of missing and had wrong that were sort of particular to this bike. And no, it wasn't just a matter of, make sure you pull the choke out. There was more to it than that. 48-year-old motorcycle, it's going to have some quirks, so I talk about that in part 4 of the series. Now here, this is a really steep uphill, and I really wanted to just rev it up and see. I think I made a bit of a mistake shifting either at this point or my next shift. And again, it has to do with the shift linkage being off on this particular bike. I talk about it more in the previous video. But yeah, I enjoyed riding this bike. It was a great little machine. Well guys, that's it for the Honda CL350 Cafe Racer soft restoration series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't checked out those other episodes, please go ahead and check them out. She is now off to her owner's place. He's a collectioner of cool 1970s stuff, so he has a whole 70s themed basement, which is pretty cool. So she's off to go join the rest of his 1970s nostalgia collection. Thank you guys so much for watching this series. I really appreciate it. My name is Adrian from YouMotorcycle. Please like this video if you like this kind of stuff, and hit subscribe for more videos. Thanks guys, ride safe. Peace.